Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dad Strength Podcast. We are cutting it down here to the end of the child development charts or the milestone for certain age groups. And we've worked all the way up from infant, and we are now on year 4. Before we begin, though, we're going to talk about the direction of the podcast. We've got some exciting news. First off the bat, we will be expanding the podcast. I know I said I had some exciting things in the works. Probably been a little bit boring the last couple weeks, months or so. We're going through the developmental charts, the milestones. These just give a brief overview, pretty straightforward. And from here out, we're actually going to go ahead and work on a video component to go with the Dad Strength podcast. And what that means is you're still going to have the same content type. We're breaking down parenting skills, child development, toys, learning, but I'm going to do it a little bit more hands-on. And it's easy to break down toys and things now. I have a pretty good base at my house, a young one. She runs around crazy. I have a ton of toys and learning games that I do with her. So the next step for this is to go ahead and add a video component. And I've looked at that and I've started to go ahead and get into the technical aspects, making sure that I have the right equipment. Now, if you don't want to watch videos, you're going to get the same content delivered to you on the podcast. So it's going to be the same type of format. I'm breaking things down. I'll try to paint the picture with my words on what we're looking at and what we're doing. I have a test run ready to go up soon. So we're going to start there and hopefully enhancing the podcast itself. Also, we are now breaking off of the Socially Numb platform, and we're going to become our own standalone podcast and videocast. And that's pretty exciting news. I'm hoping things get a little bit more exciting. I know it might sound boring, me just going through checklists. So this is something that's going to bring excitement into the podcast going forward, its own standalone parenting site, hopefully build some more interaction, and I've been breaking that off. So right now what I did was I cloned the Socially Numb website, and I'm going to get ahead and get the content separated. I'm still not decided on what I want the topics to be for the podcast and the site itself, but we're looking into some different formats. That will hopefully get cleared up here soon because I'm ready to start rolling with the videos. We will have one more developmental milestone. We might be changing days of the week that this gets launched once again. Push back to Friday just to give me some extra time on getting the videos up and running. But if that happens, we'll have another bonus episode that week talking about the changes. So, all right, here we go. Diving into the 4-year milestones for child development. The same categories we always have: social and emotional, language and communication, cognitive, and movement and physical development. Now we're going to go ahead and start off with social. They enjoy doing new things at this age. So it's pretty exciting as a parent because now you can start to take some of your interests and introduce it into their lives and then see if they have an interest for it as well. So they're going to go ahead and take a new look at life. They'll try to do things. They will also start to play you. And what I mean by that is they'll use mom and dad against one another. And so it's something to very look out for. It's something that no parent wants to happen, but it's bound to happen at some point where if one parent tells them no, they'll go find the other one and try to get them to reverse role or give them the okay in that area. So make sure you're on the same page with your partner, mom or dad. Make sure that you know what they're saying. Keep the line of communication open because it's very, very important at this age. Next, they're going to go ahead and get more and more creative with make-believe play. And this is where you can go ahead and, like I said, introduce some interest to them, play along with them, help them explore and expand their mind. They would also rather play with other children than by themselves. And before, we had an alone phase. Now they're going to start to become more social. This is when, if you haven't up to this point been taking them to playgroup or daycare, you want to go ahead and start. And coincidentally, around this age, I think is when preschool starts. So that's whenever you want to go ahead and take them, get them, their social skills need to be developed. And with this, they're going to learn how to cooperate with other children. So it's very, very important to get those social skills down. They need to learn. Please encourage this because this is a very important age. You don't want to be struggling with this later on down the road. So they're going to learn how to cooperate with other children. This is when you can go ahead and start to nurture that. They're not going to be able to tell what's real and what's make-believe. So this is when you're going to have to be careful. If you like scary things, your child could get scared, start to have nightmares. They don't know what's real and make-believe. Other parents or kids, they might play jokes. So whatever you want to do, make sure that you know that your child, you have to be careful with the sarcasm and things because they might not think that you're serious. And the very last for social and emotional, they're going to start to talk about what they like and what they are interested in. So that's very good as a parent because they'll start to tell you. And this is when it's important to start to listen. Don't wait until it's too late. Whenever they start to get into some bad things, start to listen to them now, start to talk to them, find out what's going on, what they like to do, and try to encourage them in that field. Also, because they like new things, try to get them to experience a bunch of different ones. Now, moving on to the language and communication. They're going to know basic rules of grammar, such as like pronouns and he and she, and they're going to be able to use those correctly in sentences. They're also going to be able to sing songs or recite poems from memory. And this is when it's important to start reading those little short books, maybe a book that has like some poetry in it, so that they can practice memorization and rhyming. Help them expand their memory. And you'll know what I'm talking about, like the Itsy Bitsy Spider, Wheels on the Bus, songs like that, rhymes. They're going to go ahead and expand their memory. And with this, going with stories, they're going to start to tell their own stories. So you want to encourage this because they're going to go ahead and expand their imagination. So have them tell their own stories and use that in a setting to get them to grow socially. And at this age too, they'll start to know their personal details. So practice with them. Make sure they can say their first and last name. You also want to know like a phone number to get in contact with you, maybe the address where you live, certain things like that, just in case something happens. They know your name, their name, and where they're from. Now, the next category, cognitive. Going along and building off of learning their names and little bits of information, they're going to start to know the names of some colors and numbers. So go ahead. This is when you want to practice with them. I encourage you to especially practice math because math gets hard for children, so start them young. A lot of them don't get exposed to that at the house. So expose them to math so that they don't get frustrated with it when they get into high school. This is something that a lot of kids fear, or even parents might fear, is math. So introduce it early and practice with them. Just do counting first, then do maybe addition. Show them like if you have two objects, you can physically play on the floor with them. Give them toys, add them together, show them how to count with adding and subtracting. Start there and build it up because it's very important that they understand the basics. And the idea of counting itself, hand them objects as you count so that they see like 1, 2. Start with the grocery store too. Take them out, give them some real world experience. Like this is why it's important. If the sign says that I can take 5 apples for $1 or whatever, have them count it out with you. Very good learning skills. They will also start to understand time. And children are great with schedules. They like being on a schedule. So now is your time to go ahead and start to implement that. Use time as a guide in their life. And if they go to daycare or even preschool, they'll start to learn like, okay, at this time we do math. At this time we have snack. At this time we go outside and have recess. All those little things they're going to start to pick up on. So practice at home. Try to keep in a routine and in a schedule. With that, remembering time and parts of their day, they're also going to remember parts of stories. And they're going to know what means by same and different. So like if you have two opposites like night and day, they're going to know what that is. They're going to start to see these in their environment and go with it. Next, they're going to go ahead and start to pick up the fine motor skills and be able to draw people with 2 to 4 body parts. Think of stick figures, 2 arms, 2 legs, maybe a head. And continuing, not just drawing, they're also going to be able to use scissors to make cuts and cut out little parts. And they'll start to use, as they're drawing and writing, capital letters, and they might see some lowercase, but right now they usually start off with the capital letters because that's what is easier for them. Next, playing board games or card games. They should be able to sit down, physically play the games, know that there's something that they're trying to accomplish. So try to play a variety of different games and see how many they can pick up on, because they need to know that there's a goal and there are rules. So it's very important to practice these so that they learn that different things have different roles. And the last one for cognitive, they're going to tell you what they think is going to happen next. They're going to be able to make predictions in books and stories. They can even predict what's going to happen on a TV show. If you're going that, video games, whatever you want to expose them to, they're going to be able to make predictions on what they think is going to happen next. And that's it for cognitive. And then the last one is going to be movement and physical development. So, at very first, they started running last time, jogging a little around. Now they should be able to hop up and down, getting even more muscular control, jumping up and down, and they should be able to stand up on one foot. They should be able to balance back and forth for about 2 seconds. So up off one foot for about 2 seconds. They're up. They can also jump around, hop a little bit. The hand-eye coordination, they should be able to catch a ball if you bounce it to them most of the time. And this is something that you should be practicing early because I mentioned it before. Hand-eye coordination builds up. That's going to turn into driving. They have to make that connection. So start that very early. Play ball with them, roll it back and forth, bounce it, try to throw them a ball, see if they can pick it up and catch it. And then the last one for movement and physical development is they should be able to pour water and make cuts and food selections with them. So they're going to be able to start to become self-sufficient eating. They know that they can pour cups of water into a bowl. They can pour out some of their food. They can mash up mashed potatoes. If they get like a big potato, they can mash it down into a form that they're able and want to eat. So that's something that they'll be able to expand on, and this is going to be expanded even more based on what foods you feed them and what independence you give them. So practice those. I especially encourage practicing multiple games with goals. Have them learn how to win, what happens when you lose, make them learn good sportsmanship. Also practice catching balls, kicking balls. Have them develop that hand-eye coordination, because it's not just important in sports, it's important in other things in life. It will help with balance. Have them practice standing on one foot for 2 seconds. Then you'll know if they can or not. Tell them like, hey, lift your leg up, see if you can stand, and then show them as a parent. Some parents might not even be able to do it themselves. So practice at home, learn with your kids, and work with them. And that's it for the Year 4 milestones. Next week we have Year 5, and then we're going to be moving into a more exciting direction, hopefully, with some video. So thank you for listening. Please subscribe. Keep an eye out for our new site. It will be coming together soon, and we'll also have our own YouTube channel with some videos on there. So thank you for listening. You've been listening to Dad Strength with Richie Leahy.